Hello, word nerds. I am Spencer. Welcome to this podcast called The Dictionary. What was I going to say? I forgot. Oh, welcome to episode F14. F14. I hope that I have had a couple of guests already in these first 14 episodes. We'll see what happens, I guess. Okay, let's talk about these words in this episode. The first word is fairy shrimp. 2 words, fairy shrimp. Noun from 1857. I imagine just a little shrimp flying all around, granting wishes, blah, blah, blah. A fairy shrimp is any of several very small, translucent, freshwater branchiopod crustaceans. And they are of the order Anostraca, Anostraca. So many words. Small, very small, translucent. You can see through them. They live in freshwater, not saltwater. They are brachiopods, and I don't remember what that means. And they are crustaceans, like the other shrimp, I guess. I feel like we probably need to post a picture of a fairy shrimp, and I probably need to look it up right now. What does a fairy shrimp look like? Let's see. Fairy shrimp. Oh, it's so translucent. Somebody has some in their hand. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, probably at least 15 to 20 of these in their hand, and their hand is barely covered at all. They're so tiny, and they're shrimp. I don't know if people eat these because they're so tiny. They would just be like barely a snack. I wouldn't eat them anyway. Okay, fairy shrimp, that's it for that one. Oh, my sound effect today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to say, once upon a time, because our next word is fairy tale. We actually have a couple of different fairy tales. This first one is 2 words with a hyphen, adjective from 1924, 100 years ago at the time of recording. A fairy tale adjective is characteristic of or suitable to a fairy tale, but especially marked by seemingly unreal beauty, perfection, luck, or happiness, as in the example, led a fairy tale life, also as in a store clerk's fairy tale romance. Notting Hill, would that be a store clerk's fairy tale romance? It seems like so unbelievable, so magical, so strange, so perfect that it might as well have come from a fairy tale because, of course, everything is always so perfect and happy and wonderful in all the fairy tales because, hence why they all end with, and they lived happily ever after. Clearly, the story goes on after that, right? If this were real life, they would have kids, and that would change the dynamic, and have to have jobs. But usually people in fairy tales, they just live in these fantasy worlds where there are not really jobs. There's princesses and princes and dwarfs and things that talk that are not supposed to talk. But often fairy tales. I mean, hey, let's get into it. Let's just talk about it. Is there anything a fairy tale life? I think I'm pretty lucky. I don't know if I would say I have a fairy tale life. Does anybody have a fairy tale life? If they did, it's probably temporary. Once upon a time, fairy tale, 2 words, noun from 1749, 1A. A story, as for children, involving fantastic forces and beings like fairies, wizards, and goblins. And it is also called fairy story. I guess some people, or maybe some parts of the world, call them fairy stories instead of fairy tales. And why, I would like to know, please. I would like to know why these got the word fairy at the beginning. Aren't there other words? There are other creatures, types of living things that are in these quote unquote fairy tales that could also be. What's the etymology of that? I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But could have called it anything. Just here in the examples could have called them wizard tales, goblin tales. I don't know. Maybe fairies are like more encompassing. There's more fairies in fairy tales than maybe other sort of creature things. I don't know. I don't know all the fairy tales. 1B. This is a story in which improbable events lead to a happy ending. Oh, and we're so happy when they have a happy ending. It makes us feel so good. It would be so terrible if they all had bad endings. Because kids want happy endings, right? I don't know. I think if you show them how sometimes things don't have a happy ending, it gives them a more realistic view of life. Because not everything ends happily ever after. Ever after. Number 2 for fairy tale. This is a made-up story usually designed to mislead. Oh, why are you telling me those lies? I was just listening this morning to a podcast, Mark Maron's podcast. He had on a woman who I didn't recognize by name, Joanna Gleason. But then when I looked her up, and I was like, oh, yes, of course I know who she is. And she was in the original cast of Into the Woods. I think it was the original cast. And that show, I mean, I guess you can call that show, that story, a fairy tale. But the cool thing about it, if you don't know, is that it takes characters from all these other fairy tales and puts them all into one story. It's as if they are living in like the same town in the same world. Of course, there's Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk and his mom. I think his mom was different. There's the baker and his wife, and I don't really know that story. And then, of course, there's giants and there's princes. There's a couple of princes. There's the Rapunzel prince, I think, and then is there the Sleeping Beauty? I don't remember which one. But, of course, they have the fantastic song, Agony! Da-da-da-da-da-da! And they're talking about, oh my God, those characters are so friggin' hilarious. But yes, it's all, and of course, Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf. How can we forget about them? It's just a genius combining of fairy tales, and I need to see that show again. That's a good one. Great music, super like weird rhythms and stuff. Man, now I want to go hear Agony again. Agony! I wish I knew all the words. I don't. They're in there somewhere. Okay, we got it. Anything else about fairy tales? Those original fairy tales, was it the Grimm fairy tale, the Grimm brothers, the Grimm father? I don't remember. They were dark. There was disfigurement and murder. Maybe, I don't know. Scary things happened in those, and of course, as years have gone on, they have tamed them a bit, and of course, Disney tamed them a whole lot. I think we need to bring back the super dark fairy tales, please and thank you. Once upon a time. The next word is fait accompli. Fait accompli. You could also say fait accompli or feta, like feta cheese, fait accompli. Feta con, you can say con, fait accompli. This is two words. First word is F-A-I-T. Second word is A-C-C-O-M-P-L-I. Fait accompli. This is, what did the British say? Fait accompli. I think they emphasize the com. Fait accompli instead of fait accompli. Okay, this is a noun from the French, from the 1845. And this is a thing accomplished and presumably irreversible. You did it, and it cannot be undone, we presume. We think, possibly, maybe, we cannot undo this thing. It's out there in the world, and it is forever. I know I've heard this term before, but I cannot think of the context of where I would have heard it. This French phrase means accomplished fact. You have accomplished a thing, and it is a fact. It is not false. And so that's what it is. A fait accompli. Fate. See, we don't say fate, but you do get the T sound in there, right? Fait accompli. It's like you're combining the end of the first word with the beginning of the second word. And I wish they gave us, I wish they gave me an example of how you would use this in a sentence. I don't know. I ran the 50-yard dash in 1 second. That was my fait accompli. Once upon a time. The next word is faith, first form. And, I thought it was our last word. It's not. We got a couple more. Okay, faith, noun, from the 13th century. 1a, allegiance to duty or a person, and the synonym is loyalty. I pledge faith to you. I have faith that you are important, so I will pledge my allegiance, my loyalty to you. I don't exactly know how faith, it seems a little archaic or obsolete, but I don't know. I just don't hear it that way. 1b1, fidelity to one's promises. You are being true to your promises. You are keeping your promises. That is very good. You have faith. Yeah, I just don't know. There's a lot of definitions for faith, and I'm not familiar with all of them. But this one is fidelity to one's promises. You make a promise, you got to be faithful to your promises. I think that's probably just a good human thing to do. 1b2, sincerity of intentions. I would like to marry your daughter. I have sincere intentions. I have intentions. I would like to provide for her and give her a good life, or whoever we're talking about. Doesn't matter. I'm just using this as an example. And I am sincere. I am not a trickster. I am not a con artist. I am a true, real person who is sincere in my intentions. Okay, that was just the first example I could think of with that definition. Faith. How do you use that in a sentence? Don't know. 2a1, belief and trust in and loyalty to God. So belief and trust to God, belief and trust in God, belief and trust and loyalty to God. So if you are a religious person, well, you know what? I don't even like to use the word religious there because that has a lot of other connotations. That has structure of some kind. You can believe in God and not be religious. You can be religious and not believe in God. I guess that's possible. But so let's rephrase that. If you believe in God, if you trust in God, you are loyal to God, and of course, we're using this word God as the all-encompassing idea of this higher power, higher being, spiritual thing. But different cultures, different religions all over the world have different ideas on that. Some have a one God in mind and they call it a different name, and some have a whole bunch of gods in their culture. And so, we're being very general here. But if you have faith, that means you believe, you trust, you are loyal to this thing that maybe is controlling things, possibly. That's one possibility. Anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's a big use of this word faith. 2a2, belief in the traditional doctrines of a religion. Here we go. We got religion into the mix, of course. And you believe in the traditional aspects, the old aspects, the things that have gone on for so many years in your specific religion. You have faith in that. You trust that that is what is important to you and to your life, and cool, and all that. 2b1. There's lots of sub-definitions for this one because they're all similar, but there's only slight differences. 2b1, firm belief in something for which there is no proof. I have I have faith that there are people watching this show, listening or watching to the show. But I can prove that because I get numbers. So that would not be a good example. Is there anything that I have faith of that I believe that cannot be proven? I guess if we want to get into the spiritual realm, I guess that I have faith that there is, I think I believe that there is something like a soul, a spirit, that all of us, including animals and possibly even plants, I don't know, I still have to think about that one, that there's this something that's going on in our body that makes us alive. What is this alive thing? I don't know. I'm maybe not 100%, but I'm like pretty close to 100% based on science, my own thoughts, my beliefs, my experiences, all those things. I believe there is something. I have faith that there is something. And I believe that we are all connected to the same thing, whatever that is. I don't know. Okay, so believe in that was all about something there's no proof. We don't have proof. Science doesn't know for sure. I don't know even what science has done or said about that type of thing. Maybe someday science will have proof. And then I'll be like, nah, now that you proved it, I don't have faith in it. 2B2. Complete trust. We're not even talking religious or spirituality or whatever, just complete trust. I have faith that you are awesome. Full stop. Number 3, something that is believed, especially with strong conviction, especially a system of religious beliefs. That's the more specific aspect of this one. You have strong conviction. You feel so strongly. I have conviction about this thing. I think that food is great. I have faith that food is fantastic. So many F words. A system of religious beliefs. That's the especially part. As in the example, the Protestant faith. I guess you could replace the word Protestant with a whole bunch of other types of religions, right? I think. I'm not even going to start that because I will miss all of them. I will miss so many of them. The Protestant faith is a system of religious beliefs, and then people who call them Protestants believe that they have faith in those specific religious beliefs. A synonym is the word belief, and there is a phrase on faith, which is without question. Without question, on faith, I am relying on my faith. I don't have any questions about this thing. As in the example, took everything he said on faith. I think that's great. I think that you should take everything I say on faith. You should not question a single thing I say. All of the things that I say all the time are correct 100% of the time. Believe me. Have faith in me. They don't put this in here, but there's another sort of common phrase, leap of faith. But I guess we'll have to wait until the L's, maybe. Maybe they'll talk about it then. Steve Martin was in a funny movie called Leap of Faith. Don't remember it. But it was something about religious stuff. Oh, what does the etymology have to say? We're gonna look at the etymology for faith. This is from the Latin word fidere, which means to trust. And there's more at the word bide, B-I-D-E. But yes, to trust. That's what it is. Just trusting in something. I trust that the fairy tales will end happily. Once upon a time. Now we have the second form of faith. This is a transitive verb from the 15th century, and it's archaic. The synonyms are believe and trust. So when you're using it in a transitive verb context, which you are not allowed to do anymore because it is archaic, you can replace it with the word believe or trust. I am trusting, believing, faithing. I'm going to faith you. You got to have faith. You got to have faith. Wait, how does that go? I think I'm mixing up my songs. Once upon a time, there was a little boy. Okay, now we have the word faithful. This is the first form. It is an adjective from the 14th century. We got a few definitions and a bunch of synonym information. So, number one for faithful is obsolete, and it means full of faith. Seems kind of obvious. Number two, steadfast in affection or allegiance. Don't know why that was hard to say. Steadfast in affection or allegiance. You have allegiance and affection, and you are not backing down on that. The synonym is loyal. If you have a dog, as long as you're treating the dog well, then maybe the dog will be faithful to you because it loves you, it has affection, it has allegiance, it will stay by your side, and it says, I'm a good boy. Once upon a time, there was a good boy, and it was a dog. Number three, firm in adherence to promises or in observance of duty, D-U-T-Y, of course. The synonym is conscientious. Ooh, you are firm in your adherence to your promises. Yes, so, people who, they have, let's use somebody in like the military, police, fire, something like that. They have this duty. They have sworn that they will do what they can to protect people, keep people safe, help people, all those sorts of things. And so, firm in adherence to promises or in observance of duty. When I think of observance of duty, that makes me think of somebody in those sorts of jobs. Conscientious. Number four, given with strong assurance, and the synonym is binding, as in a faithful promise. That is a binding promise. Maybe you shook on it. Maybe you took a blood oath. That is, if you got to keep your promises. If you're going to, you got to be faithful to your promises. Strong assurance. I think I'm pretty good at keeping my promises. I think I'm faithful to my promises. I'm sure I have not kept a promise, but it was probably extenuating circumstances, I would like to think. Okay, what's next for faithful? Number five? Yes, number five. True to the facts, to a standard, or to an original, as in the example, a faithful copy. If you're doing a cover of a song and you play it, you sing it, you do the instruments very similar to the original song, then that would be a faithful cover. Let's see, there was a faithful recreation of the movie Psycho where they literally redid it shot for shot, color, new actors, all those sorts of things. But I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I've seen this faithful recreation of Psycho. I've seen Psycho, but I don't know if I think I saw the beginning of it, but I don't know if I saw the whole thing. We should watch that. Faithfully is an adverb. Faithfulness is a noun. And why can't I think of, it's either Wham or it is George. Oh boy, the brain is not working. George, I wanted to say some funny things. George Carlin, George Michael, of course. And what is the faith song? There's, I'm looking at the list. Come on, it should be near the top, right? Sharon, my wife, loves George Michael and Wham, and so these are songs that I hear on occasion, and I feel like there's a couple. Okay, this is stupid, Spencer. Is it you gotta have faith? No, it's not. That's not how it goes, is it? You know what, Spencer? You need to stop. You need to stop with this tangent because this is not helping anything. What you do need to do is talk about the synonyms for faithful. For the faithful, loyal, constant, staunch, steadfast, and resolute mean firm in adherence to whatever one owes allegiance. You owe allegiance to a thing, and you have to adhere to that. Okay, good. Faithful implies unswerving adherence to a person or thing, or to the oath or promise by which a tie was contracted. There was a lot of information there. The example is faithful to her promise. Basically, she made a promise. It's kind of like a contract. She was tied to that contract, and it could be to a person, to a thing, or to an oath. You know, there's the hippopotamus oath. No, it's called the Hippocratic oath that the doctors take, which is like, do no harm. Don't harm the person that you're trying to help. As much as you can do to stop that. Okay, they are faithful to their oath. Hopefully, that's the goal. Loyal implies a firm resistance to any temptation to desert, you're deserting, like leaving, or betray, as in remain loyal to the Tsar. I will never betray you, Tsar. You are such an important Tsar. You make all the good decisions, so I am faithful to you. No, I'm loyal to you, Tsar. Tsar. Constant stresses continuing firmness of emotional attachment without necessarily implying strict obedience to promises or vows. So yes, you are not necessarily taking a vow, an oath, but you have this emotional attachment. We have an example, constant friends. They made no oath to each other. They didn't take a blood oath or do any of those silly things, spit in their hands and shake on it. No, but they're just friends. They have an emotional connection, so they're friends forever. BFF. Staunch suggests fortitude and resolution in adherence, and imperviousness, is that the word? Imperviousness to influences that would weaken it, as in a staunch defender of free speech. I think free speech is a pretty good thing to be staunch about. It's also just a good word, staunch. Staunch. Yeah, you can't weaken your staunchness. Next is steadfast. This implies a steady and unwavering course in love, allegiance, or conviction, as in steadfast in their support. They will hold firm. They have love, allegiance, and conviction for their support of free speech, maybe. Resolute implies firm determination to adhere to a cause or purpose, as in a resolute ally. I am definitely an ally to various communities that I am not a part of. If you look at me, if you know me, you can tell that I am a part of very specific, how am I trying to put this? Basically, I'm a middle-aged, white, straight, cis male, but I am an ally to the people who are not me. I am an ally to the LGBTQIA plus community, the minorities who are not being respected as much as they should, etc., etc. Okay. Faithful, resolute. So let's just backtrack. Resolute implies firm determination to adhere to a cause or a purpose. Yes, there's a lot of causes and purposes that I feel strongly about, and I think you should too. Now it's the sound effect time. Which is once upon a time. Just go weirder and weirder. The second form of faithful is a noun from circa 1533. Number 1 is plural, so here's 1A. Church members in full communion and good standing. And this is used with the word the, so is it the faithfuls because it's plural? They are church members, so they are plural. The faithfuls. I mean, yeah, I don't go to church, so I didn't know that's what they call them. But they call them the faithfuls because they have faith in their religion. 1B, the body of believers in Islam. And this is also used with the word the. Interesting how they are both using the same term for probably the same thing. Number 2 is also plural, but it could be either faithful or faithfuls. The plural version of it could be with an S or not. This is one who is faithful, especially a loyal follower, member, or fan, as in party faithfuls. Are those political party faithfuls or are these people who just love to party? I don't know. Once upon a time. ... The last word is faith healing. 2 words. Noun from 1885. This is a method of treating diseases by prayer and exercise of faith in God. And faith healer is a noun. Now, this is a tough one to get behind. I appreciate and like science, and I don't know if there is any proof that faith healing works. I cannot in good conscience say, go to a faith healer to get some faith healing. I think maybe right? It's all energy. Yes, that is true. We are all energy. So there could be something about this to some level, but you also, I think, personally, you can't rely 100% on faith healing. Maybe a little bit, but then also, like, I think a lot of things you gotta go to a doctor for. Even, Eastern medicine uses actual things, maybe plant products or something. It's at least a step up from faith healing, probably more steps up. I think a good combination of Western medicine, Eastern medicine, and probably a little bit of faith healing to help your energy or whatever it is that we got. I am not an expert on this, so I am not speaking. You can't, even though I said before, you can be faithful that everything I say is 100% correct. That was a joke. I hope you realize that. Okay, because I don't fully know what I'm talking about all the time. I'm just telling you what I think in the moment, what I believe. Okay, those were all the words. And now it is time for the word of the episode. And the little theme song for today is going to be words. We had a lot of words in this episode, and I'm going to pick one of them. Today we had fairy shrimp, fairy tale, fait accompli, faith, faithful, faith healing. Which one is great? I don't know. I mean, fairy tales are fun. Mostly when I was younger, I was aware of fairy tales. I don't really, I guess you could call a lot of movies fairy tales. Probably. Which one? I mean, I think faith is a pretty good thing, and there's a lot of different forms. Clearly, as we read all those definitions, there's a lot of aspects to this word faith, and I think it's a good thing to have, right? Yes. So the song will be, it's good to have faith. It's good to have faith in whatever you believe in. Have faith in it. And I wish I could remember how that song goes. It's not, you gotta have faith. No, it's faith. I know I'm combining songs. I know I must be. Okay, let's stop that conversation, and let's start the conversation that's all about movies. I will tell you about another movie that I watched. Where are we? Oh, Ghostlight. Strongly recommend Ghostlight. Made by Kelly O'Sullivan and her husband, and I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. I don't remember if they both wrote it and both directed it, or if one wrote and both directed, or vice versa. But anyway, local Chicago indie movie. We saw some things. We're like, that's in the Chicago area, mostly in the suburbs, and it is a wonderful story, acted wonderfully, written and directed wonderfully, and It feels so real and true. I think that's a really hard thing to do, to make a film just feel so real, and they nailed it. And I didn't know this until the movie was over, but the people who play the family, the husband and the wife and the daughter, they are a real family in real life, and that made me so happy. In fact, there was a moment when we first see them all together, I was like, there's something, the kid looks kind of like them, and I had a moment of maybe she's really related to one or both of them, but then I just totally forgot about that. And then I looked it up afterwards. And last night, we were watching The Bear, and the guy who plays the lead character in Ghostlight is in The Bear. He plays a doctor, and I was like, "Ooh, he looks so familiar. Oh, he's from Ghostlight." And if you know plays theater, you know the term Ghostlight. Maybe that'll give you a hint about what this is about. Okay, that's it for this show, this episode, this podcast, this YouTube show, whatever it is. This one is over, and I hope you come back for the next one. This has been Spencer dispensing information faithfully. Goodbye.